I think we are finally live. When I started up the software, it had an update. And I always just run the update. So I just had to wait till that ran through. So hopefully you can hear and see me. Yeah, well, people are saying they see me. There you go. What's up, trolls? Vamps, Jimmy, CC, Fretless Ed, Christopher, Searching for Tone. We got Bonkers, we got Mark, we got Scott, Matt, Wendell, Ambrose, Bastiddy, Retro Puffer, Yeti Motzi, Terry 3G, funny ass guitar guy, got Seth, got Zach, got Frank, Scott, Terry, John, Double R Guitar. Sounds good, yeah? What's up, Blackjack Guitar? And got Vince. Got Doug. What's up, Speaker? Speaker. My pronunciation was wrong. Speaker. Is that for my speaker? It is, in fact, it is for your speaker. $21 and snowing. Yeah, I think we're about 28 and snowing. But they say when the snow is going to drag up a bunch of warm air. So it snows until about 4 a.m. And then it switches to like sleet and freezing rain. Then just plain rain. And then it rains from like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. until like 4 or 5 p.m. So it's going to make the whatever snow is down there like super soggy. And then behind that, super cold Arctic blast. Highs in the low 20s. I think it is a tinted finish. I think it is a little tinted. Yeah, I think so. It's not like vintage tinted, but it's not straight light colored either. It does. I feel like there is a little tint, like a honey blonde, like a blonde, like a honey blonde, something like that. Got the sleet in New Jersey? Yeah. We're all snow right now, but it's going to turn to sleet because it's going to drag a bunch of warm air up. And Thursday is the big one. You think so, Michael? They seem to be sort of, they're like, it's going to be snow, but we don't know how much yet. So we'll see what's up. You wonder if it's going to be the same as like right now, where it starts out snow because there's cold air locked in place, because it is going to turn much colder, and whether it drags in warm air and just switches over to rain. Yeah, this is I've really been digging this guitar. It is a nice one. Really hot there, hot shot. But you can see the hot spot already developing on the pick guard. And it's gonna happen. So I'm not crazy about matte finishes, even though that's aluminum. And it's not like it's worn like that. I think it's just the oils from my hand, right? It showed up like that, but it's just like the oils from your hand just make it a little shinier, on the You know, I'm sure I could clean it with like alcohol and make it look like new, but because it's anodized, there's nothing going to come off on that. Light snow changing the rain. Maybe thunder. Oh, yeah. Thunder snow is always fun. Ah, oh yeah, it's the HSS, all right, and it's got a coil cut, and the old S switch right there, coil cut it. Want one, but I'll wait to find a used one. Yeah, you can't get them used just yet. I don't see them out there yet. The Ultra's all day, but not the Ultra 2. Too new. Too new. Not enough out there in the wild to make it into the used stock yet. I do love a Strat. There's just something, you know, there's just that sound. That's the sound. Now, one thing I didn't mention in the review, but I noticed, and I don't know, they don't mention it in any of the descriptions I see, but I noticed that this has a little click right there. Hear that? It's a magnet. Little click-a-do. So it's like normal all the way. And then at the very end, a little click. Now, my standard Strats from 2014? I think, yeah, 2014. So, you know, quite a while ago, you know, 10 plus years ago. They sort of had that same thing, but when you went all the way to the end, when you heard that click, that little click like there, that meant that the capacitor is completely bypassed. It would be like what they call like a no load, right? And it got like infinitely brighter, like noticeably brighter when you got to that final spot. They don't mention that in any of the specs, but when it hits the magnet like that at the end, I'm like, is this a no load pot? When we get to the end, are you bypassing the capacitor completely? I mean, it's kind of what it feels like. But I can't find it in the specs. Or is it just like people don't want the tone to roll off, and so they have a magnet at the end just to hold it in place? That doesn't sound right. Usually the magnet creates a new circuit that just completely bypasses the capacitor and makes it much brighter. So here it is. Where is it? So, right, and then that, so, there I have it turned down. I turn it up, right, and then hit that last. It does sound pretty bright. You wonder if it's doing a bypass there. I don't know. I have a couple of Fenders that do that exact thing. That little magnetic click at the end. But when you go and look up the Ultra 2 specs, no mention. Zero mention of that. So, yes? Just always leave it clicked, yeah. So, Much brighter. Versus, this is just clicked off. I think so. Doesn't have the boost. It does have the splitter in here. That was actually split. It does have the splitter. The neck on this is so nice. I saw that USA plays Canada tonight, right? I think hockey and basketball are both on a break right now. Hockey's doing the international, and basketball's doing the the All-Star game. So. I have a 2014 limited edition Telecaster. Does that too? Yes, that's what I think I have too. It's a 2014 Tele. And I have a 2014 Strat. And they both do that. You get to the very end, and all of a sudden, click, there's this like magnetic click, and there's a drastic change in brightness, right? It's noticeably brighter when you get to that final, that last notch, right, between 9 and 10. 9, you're here, and right, it's like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, with the boost, must be making them different. What was the humbucker on yours? Is it the Haymaker? Because I hadn't heard about that until I was reading the specs on this. I hadn't heard of the Haymaker humbucker. I always thought it was like the V-twin and the Shawbucker, right? As compared to the CE, well, the CE is a very different guitar. Much wider neck, but thinner front to back, but wider side to side without a doubt. I like a blade switch better than a three-way toggle. You know, they're both good build quality, you know, without a doubt. But they're such a different guitar. The CE is a maple neck with an ebony fretboard, I want to say. Because it was like a special run. And then G. I like my CE too. That's a great guitar. I haven't checked out the new Boss Load Box. Take a look. Then was it E minor? I wanna be with A minor, F, A flat, E minor, A minor, F, A minor, A flat major, to E, G. That's such a great tune. I've been on a little bit of an Amy Winehouse kick. You know, something showed up in my feed. You watch one video on YouTube and they suggest 1,000 more, and my God, she was just so good. Just so talented. You know, it's just, it really is a tragedy. It really is. Great topic, Mark. The Ozzy and Sabbath grand finale. You know, I hope it doesn't kill Ozzy. My God, the poor guy. I felt like he was struggling and it wasn't this past one, right? It was the year before. So it wasn't the season opener for 2024. It was the season opener for 2023. That's a while ago now. And he was sort of held up by like a truss, right? They had a big brace up holding him up through like a coat, and like so he wouldn't fall over. They were worried about him falling. And, that was a while ago. His Parkinson's has gotten worse. And so, my God, it's like just, I just wish him all the best to be able to pull it off. It's going to be recorded. At some point it's going to get out there. I'd love to see it. She was so talented, loving me. Oh my God, yeah. The first time I heard Amy Winehouse was her cover of Valerie. See, right? Look at the world. The D minor. In my head, I paint a picture. And then I think it's F. The E minor. Just one, and I was like, wow, this is like really good. This is like amazing. And then her, and I had, Monkey Man, her cover of Monkey Man, which is a Toots song. Is that Toots and the Maytals, Monkey Man? And so it's just amazing. And then out comes like, what was it, Back to Black? And goddamn masterpiece. And did she put an album out after that? I don't think so. That shooting star burned out fast. Oh my God. I was just so smitten with her voice. She was just such a talent. It was such a tragedy. What a loss to the music community. Hey, man, that's a Drake quote. It's all I've heard. That's the rumor out there. I can't find the time. Hey, Steve picked up an Ultra Stratocaster and Amethyst. I absolutely love it. What a great! I love the Ultra Strats. It's their modern take on I think the Deluxe, right? What used to probably be called the Plus. right? So like in 87, they come out with the American Standard. I want to say it was 88. By 89, they have a new one. They have the Strat Plus, which adds like lace sensor pickups and I want to say like abalone inlay or something like that. And then they had the Ultra, which had the extremely rare and not seen again for like 30 years, maybe longer, certainly 25 years, ebony fretboard. Fender just didn't use ebony. It was rosewood or maple. And all of a sudden they had this Strat out, the Strat Ultra, which came with like these special lace sensors, the red humbucker, like the blue and the gold. It was like quite the rig, and it had all the switching, and of course it was like a flame top or a quilt top, and but it had an ebony fretboard, which was just so rare. And then they sort of did away with that whole thing. They stuck with like standard and vintage, and then it sort of came roaring back with the deluxe, right? And they had the roller nut and that whole thing. And then the deluxe seemed to morph into the Ultra. Same guitar, different name. Hello, Sean. You're up late. Do the Ultra have push buttons for pickup switches? I don't think so. I think you're thinking of the 1984 Elite series, which actually was not a very good guitar. That was right at the end of CBS ownership, and they were just cutting corners like crazy. The Fender stuff in their final, 24 to 48 months, pretty bad. Pretty bad. They were phoning it in, and they were, quite frankly, preparing to shut down. They were going to go under, and they got sold to the people that worked there. Were able to put together the capital to buy the brand. And there's differing stories, but they didn't get the factory. Now, some people say like, well, they didn't want to buy the factory because they thought the factory was old. They just wanted the IP, and they wanted like some of the toolings and the things they wanted, but they didn't want the factory. Other people said no, they just didn't realize they weren't getting the factory. I said, well, that's on their lawyer's part. Should have realized that. Hello, Assad. Plus had the lace, the locking, tuners, strap locks, and a roller nut. That's right, it had a roller nut. And so did the Ultra too, right? The Ultra had a roller nut as well, but added the ebony fretboard, maybe the abalone inlays, and I think a bump up in the pickups instead of 3 singles, but it's still lace sensors, right? So the Plus had all the lace sensors, but then you got to the Ultra, and you had like a humbucker that was like splittable, and then like maybe it was like gold in the middle and blue in the neck, all lace sensor. Again, this is all from memory from working at the store. What are those ones with the card modules? I think that was a deluxe. I think it started out in the USA market, and you could open up there was like a flap on the back of the guitar, a plastic flap, like almost like a battery compartment, and you would open it up, and there'd be a little module in there. You could take that module out, you could put another module in, and it would give you different wiring. And they probably had 3 different modules you could put in it. I forget now. But depending on the module you put in, you got different wiring. You could pick and choose. Not the easiest thing to swap out on stage. But, as a studio guitar, that actually makes a lot of sense, right? Because someone can dial in the tone they want using different modules and figuring it out. Eventually, I believe that guitar made it to the Mexican market, right? So you could get it for a lot less than the USA version, probably $500 to $700 less. So it eventually made it to, I think, a Mexican built, and then they discontinued it. I wonder if they just use the same modules, because like, why overthink it, right? Some Ultras today have a push button, yeah, to split the humbucker in a single coil. That's what this is basically. It doesn't have the A/B switching like they used to have. I feel like it used to be a more complicated wiring, and they've moved away from it. A little shrinkflation for you there. So this used to switch like my old the Strat. If you turn that on, you got like, you know, a whole bunch of new combinations. But now when you hit it, you just get a coil split. That's it. All right, there's no... All right, so on my Fender, the Strat, when you switch from like A block to B block is a Strat. But B block is like these two coils in series, this coil and these in parallel, you know, all three pickups on, has all these variations. And I feel like that's what the Deluxe had at one point. It was sort of like an A/B switching. But not any longer. Maybe not. Maybe I was just dreaming that. I dream about guitars a lot. Could have been just a dream. A little fever dream. I just heard that Heritage Guitars was bought out by some big guitar conglomerate. It sounds like every weed company around here. They've all been bought out. All the little mom and pop ones are gone. All been bought out by massive national chains. And prices have gone up. Yeah, you know what? That's what happens. You know, good for them. I hope they cashed out and they have a nice retirement fund for themselves. Because that's generally what happens. You get older. Like, what the hell am I doing? Right? These guys are in their, like, probably 70s and 80s at this point. I remember when Heritage came out in, I want to say 86. I remember the rep coming by the store, and he had this, like, look it up. Look up Heritage. I want to say it was the Challenger, or look up Space Shuttle, and it had, like, these crazy inlays. And we had this dude who used to come in who was, like, practically like a, you know, just like the quietest dude, very introverted, but damn if he couldn't play like bebop jazz guitar. I mean, just killing it. And I remember he came in and tried that out, and he was just tearing that thing up. And I just want to say it had a Space Shuttle either on the face or on the pickguard. And that guitar at the time, which was, I want to say 1986, was like over 10 grand. Does the Ultra have an oil rubbed satin maple fretboard instead of the high gloss? Well, this is satin, but I don't think it's I gotta think it's polyurethane. I don't think it's oil. That's polyurethane. But it is satin. This is the Ultra 2. The body's gloss, and that's probably, could be polyurethane, but it's probably polyester. Generally, polyester is used for the body, and polyurethane is used for the neck. Same as Mr. Boogie Randall Smith sold to Gibson and got fired soon after. Yeah, it's time to move on, right? That's what they do. And sometimes not willingly. That's welcome to the corporate world, kid. Oh my God, we were I was living in what was originally designed to be a penthouse apartment in one of the most prestigious buildings in Cambridge on the Charles River, overlooking the city of Boston, and especially overlooking the State House and Beacon Hill leading up to the State House at the top of it. It was a stunning view. And, you know, no one could really afford to live there, and they wound up turning it into office space. And, you know, we were in, it was like green marble with copper accents everywhere, rich Corinthian leather. Let me tell you, this they spared no expense. On this, why, it's like a goddamn palace. And, you know, I just remember saying, like, I am never leaving here. Oh, you're adorable, you naive. Yeah, no, you're leaving all right, because they're going to get sold, and they're going to get sold again, and then the old guys, they cash out, and they're all, like, golden parachuting out of here, and you're in free fall with some new, like, company that bought another company, and they're like, wow, this place is, like, too nice. You guys, oh, really? Because we just signed a 10-year lease, and we have 8.5 years left on a 10-year lease. I think Microsoft is in that space now. They must have, like, shit themselves when they walked into that computer room, because, again, they spared no expense. Again, this is in the mid-90s. It had a raised floor. It had its own private air conditioning system and humidity system for the room, and had its own power station in the room with full giant backups. I mean, this power station was just enormous. And then on top of that, we had something that, like, you just didn't see at the time, and that was when I was there, they laid a brand new, like, 10 gigabit, which was unheard of. We were about to go from 10 megabit to 100 megabit, and this was like a 10 gigabit fiber optic cable. It's like, I got 400 gigabit wired in it. Now, but at the time, that was like hot shit to have a 10 gigabit fiber optic line between floors. And, you know, all the best laid plans. I am never leaving here, and you're gone. That's how that works out. Only Chrysler can bring such luxury, yeah. What was the Cordoba? Let me Dumbledore that shit right out. Chrysler Cordoba? Oh my God, BC Rich, that's it, right, the 77 Chrysler Cordoba. Any tone difference between rosewood and maple fretboards? Not really. It's more of a look thing and a feel thing, because this top is super smooth. This is almost like ebony because it's so smooth. But even ebony wouldn't be this soft, right, and frictionless. It would have a little bit more, you know, texture, and rosewood would have the most. That's why, like Yngwie says, when you scallop it, it's like the world's tallest frets. Like, you never feel the fretboard. Like, it is sort of like the skating rink out there. Oh, Mons, yeah, God. No, what was the one that was pretty pretty terrible. I want to say it was was it the K car? Was that the one that practically destroyed them? Had like all kinds of friggin' problems. Right, the Chrysler K car. The neck, you know what? It is not a very chunky neck. In fact, I had just gone between this and the Harley Benton Fusion. It's like the Fusion 3 there. That Fusion 3 is a thicker neck, without a doubt. It's a thinner neck. Now, I also recently had an RG 560 out. And that is a much thinner neck. It's all relative. It's all friggin' relative. But I think this is a pretty thin neck. I really like this neck a lot. And I like how they roll I don't know if you can really even see it, but they roll the fret edges so friggin' good. They're so friggin' rolled over and rounded. It's nice. So I had a friend that bought a brand new Chrysler. It was a convertible. And he bought it, I want to say this was probably 82 or 83. He bought this car. And I'm trying to think of what it would be. Would it be a Le Mans? I feel like the Le Mans was a... What would the Chrysler be? Chrysler convertible. I'm thinking it could be a Le Mans. I don't think it was... was it a Sebring? Was the Sebring out by 82, 83? I feel like that was a couple of years later. LeBaron. That's what it was. It was a LeBaron. Good call, man. Good call, LeBaron. That's exactly what it was. This is Chrysler LeBaron. Convertible LeBaron. He bought it brand new. And I want to say, you know, this cost him back then like $16,000, which, you know, that's a lot of money for a friggin', you know, 1982, 1983. That's an expensive car. And, man, he had nothing but problems with that thing. He was always threatening to drive it through the front of the friggin' showroom. Right, the Le Mans is the Pontiac Le Mans. Right, not Chrysler, Pontiac. Right. Yeah, not Le Mans, LeBaron. Am I keeping this one? Nope. No. It is nice though, right? I mean, I could see myself in one of these. I'm just saying. I could see myself like keeping an eye out for one on the used market. You know. I like it. Pickups sound good. What do you think of the alter noises? I like them. I think these are Gen 4. Through latest gen. I think that, you know, I think that's... I think that sounds good. Just saying, if Stevie were still alive, probably be playing a Strat Ultra with the Gen 4 noiseless pickups. Probably. We can only speculate. When you receive the guitar, so you have the option of buying it outright. Oh, I'm sure I would. I'm sure they would, you know, sell it to me at a really good price too. You know, they've been nothing but good to me. I'm sure Zarens would be like, yeah, you know, let's hook you up. But you know what? It's hard to drop money on guitars right now when I have like so many friggin' guitars. I have so many other things that I could be focusing money on. So, you know, it's just hard to drop money on guitars right now. Now, we're about to get into tax refund season. Tax refunds have a way of saying, well, I mean, it's just money that just fell into my lap. I mean, don't you kind of have to spend that? So, you know, I have noticed, like for the first time I saw a couple of Les Paul, what was the one they did? It was a Guitar Center exclusive. It was at the Traditional Pro. They did like the Traditional Pro 2, the Traditional Pro 3. And it was a little bit less expensive because they do a glossy top, but they do a satin back and sides, right? Save a little bit of cash. And for the first time in, you know, probably 18 months or 24 months, I saw them back around $12.99, $13.99 on the used market without a case, which is kind of where they were, you know. So it's sort of full circle with that particular model. But again, it's not quite the standard. It is a little bit. They cut a few corners. It's the satin on the back and on the sides, and again, they save a little bit of money doing that. Do I think it's worth the price? I do. I mean, if you look at what, you know, a Strat went for, you know, back in the early 80s, and you just extrapolate out what it would be for inflation, they're actually right about right. Gibson's higher. Gibson's higher than they use. They have outpaced inflation, but Fender is almost unitary. I think for a little while they're even a little bit below inflation, but not any longer. They're almost like lockstep with it. You know, looking back to see what it would sell for in like 1982, 1985, 1988, you know, to present. And then I got a good guitar for Guitar of the Week on Monday. I just shot the video today. It was really nice. But not nearly as expensive as this guitar. I want to say that guitar is like $550? $599? I think $550. Stevie would be playing the St. Vincent Goldie. You know, you might be onto something there. Oh, that white one back there, that's a Harley Benton. I can't really use it in a live show because it's so friggin' loud. It would just bleed through the mic. So how's the voice compared to the guitar? About right? My meter's showing it's about the same. Check, 1, 2. Technically, I could boost a little bit more audio by just pushing it all to one channel. So if you just listen to this, this is on both channels. I'm just going to pan everything left. Check, 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 check. See how that got louder? And now my voice is definitely, I think, a little too loud. I can hear the guitar coming through a little bit. Here it is panned to both channels. But to pan it to both channels, it actually takes some dB away from the left. And you're only hearing the left because it's a mono mic. Oh, electronics. Oh, Tony, thank you, man. Hey, late here. What do you think of the Fender Indo Standard Strats? Haven't heard anything good yet. Are you going to try one out? You know what? I don't think they had. I looked at that. I looked to see if I could get one here from Sounds because they're a huge Fender dealer. I don't think they had them in stock. I think I had to be on a little wait list. And so I held off because what I learned about when I got on the wait list for the Ibanez, I'm not the Ibanez, the Epiphone Les Paul Custom is that never goes away. That back order I got emails every couple of weeks saying we're working on your order, we're trying to get it here, and then finally it shipped when they got it in. So I didn't want to get caught up in that, so I haven't like ordered it from them until I know they have in stock. I tend to work with in stock guitars. But I would love to check it out. Yeah, Harley Benton Big Tone. That's exactly what it is, Terry. It's a good mix. Yeah, good. I think so. I think when I turn the volume up, I think that's almost a little too much, right? I think it's just blasting out. In fact, I can see it redlining up there a little bit. I think this is better right here. This is slightly more even. Thoughts on X5 wireless system? I think I used one once, and it was fine. I didn't really feel any latency to it. I don't know about the battery because I never use it for very long. I tend to stick with the cable stuff. And I never really checked out their microphone stuff. This was, I think, a guitar one. And it was, I didn't really feel any latency. I thought it was pretty quick, you know. If it was in latency, it was milliseconds. You couldn't really feel it. But, you know, I'm not out on stage. I don't really feel the need to use it, and I'm worried about blowing through battery, so. Never really used it. I had it here for a while. Doo-doo. Thoughts on Brian Setzer announcing he can't play guitar anymore because of autoimmune disease. That's terrible news. Brian Setzer, I don't know that he was ever underrated, but he was what we would call sneaky good, right? You don't realize the depth of his knowledge until he was doing the Brian Setzer big band thing. And you realize, like, wow, he's not kidding around. He really does have these, like, sort of big band, sort of swing chops that are much deeper than, you know, the Stray Cat stuff would, you know, lend you to believe. So he, you know, absolutely, you know, I think by pretty much any guitar player would say, you know, his guitar playing was just top notch. So is he going to continue to sing? Can he still sing? And it's just the guitar playing he can't do? I have a friend who lost his ability to play guitar because he has some problem where the fat pads on his fingers have shrunk, and it's very painful now. He's like, to play guitar, he goes, to push that against my finger, he goes, you don't realize how much the fat pad protects you from the nerves in your muscles. He goes, as my fat pads have worn away, and, you know, he goes, which is a part of the disease. He's like, it just gets incredibly painful. He's like, to play, I can't play any longer. So, you know, you get old, you know. It's tough. Oh yeah, no, he had the chops in the rockabilly. Oh my God, he was way. His big band chops were you know, really. What do I want to say? Like, he was you know, he's like Kung Fu Panda, right? The more you watch it, you realize, boy, this guy really does know a lot about it. Has really studied it. Right? For as crazy as it seems to have incredibly deep knowledge of the subject, right? Through a very long time of being obsessed and concentrating on it. And you find that, which, you know who was else like that? Just a really good, Elliot Easton. Steve Stevens. Steve Stevens is punches way past, you know, the problem is that, you know, the same with Elliot Easton, you know, they're in pop bands. And so you don't realize just how good their playing is, because it gets sort of overshadowed by the fact that they're in a pop band. But my God, both of those guys, especially Steve Stevens, his jazz chops are freaking legendary. They're really good. Right, such an equally good composer-songwriter. Yeah, no, he was really, really good. And, you know, and he's a singer. That helps, right? Because you have an ear now and you can sing lines and work them out. You get a feel for it, especially if you're, like I said, a very good student. You're very academic about it. And you really just know the material. And then, you know, it gives you a lot to work with. So it's like having leather gloves on his hand. He can't feel the board. Interesting, right? Yeah, like a nerve damage, right? Ah, that sucks. I have a V-caster with a V-shape. I have a parts caster with a V-shaped neck, and that's for a nice roasted maple neck replacement. I never really bought necks, but Warmouth seems to have a really good rep. They're the only brand that really comes to mind is Warmouth. I'm sure you could get something from them that would be, you know, whatever you need. And I'm sure that they have roasted if you wanted to do that. And I'm sure they have a whole bunch of different neck carves. So you could really just dial in whatever you like. Oh, no way. Howard Leese lost over 100 guitars in the Cali fire. Able to save 80s PRS. Oh, yeah, that sucks. Yeah. No, yeah, no. Houses, guitars. It seemed to be getting pretty close to Bonamassa's house, and he couldn't carry all that stuff out of there, so he, you know, right now I think they're getting rain though, right? They've been raining out there, I feel like, for like the last day or two. Or recently it rained out there. So I don't know if you saw, there's a bit of controversy about Behringer. So if you don't know much about Behringer is a German-based company that basically, German-based, I believe, right? They Swedish, German. I think they're German. And they find old classic gear and they make a Chinese version of it for like really short money. And so like kind of started with the like the Behringer DeepMind 12, which was a basically I think a Roland Juno 106, right? And then they've done a whole bunch of stuff. They've done all kinds of pedal clones, and they've done, you know, God, the synth clones. They would clone, oh, geez. I want to say the Moog Model D. They did the old, like, ARP. I think there was a Korg that they copied. There's a few designs out there because the patents run out, and so they can make a clone of it. And they do this with pedals. They do it with a lot of things. And so a lot of you know, manufacturers, there's really not much they can do about it. But some manufacturers are a little harumph. And the latest one is that they're coming out with a Mutron phaser. And the Mutron company, which was out of business for a while, and then it's been batted around about it. Somebody owns it now, right? Mutronics. And Mutron. I had a Mutron wah from the late 70s. I sold it a couple of years ago. You know, but it's a classic old wah that had a plug into the wall, couldn't run on batteries. And Mutron was noisy stuff, you know, but classic, like their phaser and their, like the Mutron phaser, and was it a vibe pedal or something, and the wah, you know, are all sort of famous. So anyway, Behringer's coming out with a new phaser, a Mutron phaser, for $69, I think. And Mutron is livid because they can't build one for $69, let alone sell one for $69. Their pedals sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And so they're kind of pissed. It kind of looks like theirs. I'm sure it's the identical innards, and they're just made in China. But you know what? Maybe the time for hand boutique goddamn Mutron phaser pedals is over. You had your run in the 70s. And they're capitalizing on the nostalgia just like you are. Your patents have long run out. It's open source at this point. And, you know, the only reason why people are buying them is because they're $69 frickin' dollars. If they were $400 like your pedal, you probably wouldn't sell nearly as many, right? So to me, it's like it gives way more purchasing power to the musician. And if there's one thing musicians need, it's more purchasing power, because you know, not a lot of money in that business. So oh no, they've cloned Oberheim. They've cloned. Let me see if I can call up some of the Behringer stuff. They clone everything. If I go to oh Christ. But oh, for Christ's sakes. Yeah, there we go. How many items do they have? 601 items. No shortage of items. There's a wavetable hybrid. I'm sure that's like, you know, these are copies of famous synths. There's a Centaur pedal for $69. You know, there's the Pauly D, the old Moog. If that was Moog, it'd be $4,000, right? It's $569. And it's like, and there's the one that there's the envelope filter, They weren't too happy about that one. Right? It's not Mutron, it's Beatron. And it looks, of course, exactly like it because they never trademarked it. Right? And so the Behringer people came out and basically said, well, yeah, it's legal, but is it ethical? And I'm like, you can't even be serious right now. Business ethics is an oxymoron. Yeah, I got your ethics right here, bro. It's like, no one, not gonna, you can't even be serious. You want to compete in the market, you got to do better. And these guys are just eating your lunch, and they're pissed. And I get it. But, if this was actually put out by Oberheim, you could put probably a 3 or a 4 in front of this number, right? It's going to be $37.99. And probably not as reliable, quite frankly. These old semi-modular percussions. I mean, it's unbelievable what they can put out now. Anyway, the people from Mutron are pissed. Very upset about the new phaser. And you know who else is very angry? Is Roger Lynn from Lindrum. Because, they just put out a Lindrum. Now, when the Lindrum came out in 1982, it was $3,000. That's the equivalent of almost $10,000 today. Behringer just put out an identical copy, but punches way beyond. You wonder if they have it here. Punches way beyond. You wonder if they have a pic of it here. Do they have something just for drum machines? Let me see here. Let me do price low to high. Now let's see if we can just pull this out. Oh God, there's a lot of, should have went high to low. They have a lot of very low cost items. Oh, I'm up to page like 9 and I'm still at like $99. Here we go, $199. I think it's $399. Yeah, we're getting there very quickly now. $269. $339. I think it's $399. Yeah, right there. It's new. Just came out. There it is. It's the Lindrum. Now, the original Lindrum was analog. I don't believe it was a sampler or could play samples. I could be wrong on that, but I don't believe it was. Sampling didn't come out for like years later. Really, the first one was the Kurzweil, which came out in 84. The Lindrum comes out in 81 or 82. 82, I think. And it's analog. And, it's got, famous sounds, right? See, there's the sliders for the timbre and, it was analog. Of course, it didn't have a killer screen like that. And it didn't have LED back drums. It was, infinitely, dumbed down from this. It was $3,000. But because it's analog, there's no samples that you're quote unquote copying. They can sample that, and analog, just by merely changing the sound around in any way, you've sort of like created a new version of it. Right? You can create a classic sound and sample that. If there were samples in there, then it gets into sort of right? That's a recording. The original Lindrum didn't have any recordings. It made its own, it created its own sound. That would be like if you sold a saxophone and said, well, you recorded a bunch of samples of my saxophone. Yeah, no shit. I own the saxophone. I can play it. And I can record it, and I can make my own samples, just like the Lindrum was analog. And I can play it, and I can make my own samples from it. Tough shit. But I guess the Roger Lynn was rip shit over this. Did not like that they didn't even ask for my blessing. And I'm like, bro, what world do you live in? You think that Behringer's going to call you up and ask for your blessing? You know what you're going to say? Yeah, I want money. They know where that's headed. If they ask you for anything, it's going to feel like they owe you anything. And you're going to be like, yeah, where's my money? Where's my royalty on this? And they're going to be like, well, this came out in 1981. Any patents have the longest patent out there is 20 years, which means it would have expired in 2001, almost 25 years ago. So, yeah. There's really not a lot you can do with this guy. He was rip shit. So a little controversy. Behringer, it's been like this for a while. There are a lot of people out there that do not like that they are doing this. I'm all for it. Yeah, tough shit. You don't own some romanticized version of some hardware that got legendary and a long time ago. If the patents are still valid, that's a problem. But if the patents have expired, that's the whole point of expiring patents, is to allow these ideas to become public domain and for someone else to be able to use them. And quite frankly, for a lot less money. A lot less. The difference between digital and analog, one can be computed and the other cannot. One is a continuous wave that's altered. That's what analog is, right? A continuous wave. Digital is discrete packets. In digital, unless you're talking about FM or phase distortion, is almost certainly PCIM or PCM, pulse code modulation, which is just a fancy way of saying a recording. And recordings can be copyrighted, and copyrighted rights last way longer than patents. Patents wear out, patents expire. Copyrights eventually expire, but we just hit, I think, 1924, I think we're up to now, right? 1923, 1924-ish is where we're at. So it's going to take a while before we get to the copyrights, of, like, say, the Roland D50. Those recordings still stay copywritten. So very, very different. But all these old analog synths, once the design, the patent for the design has expired, it's friggin' open season. And it's whoever can build it the cheapest and the best and whatever. Yeah, exactly. The government-sanctioned monopoly is over. Yeah, listen, you get a government-sanctioned monopoly for a number of years. Cash in on it. They give you 20, I think most patents are 20 years. You get your 20 years. Lord knows Floyd Rose put himself in another tax bracket. You had to license it from him. So between all the ones that, not just the ones he created where he got the money for making them, all the licensing fees he got. A fun fact about that, I did not know this. FM synthesis was not created by Yamaha. It was actually created by Stanford University. And it was shopped around to a few different vendors. Yamaha could see the potential in it, and they licensed it exclusively and gave Stanford a little slice of every single Yamaha that sold with FM synth tech, which was like the DX7, and all that stuff. It, I think, to date, is the most successful patent license that Stanford has ever had, right? And Yamaha doesn't mind because they get to use it, and then they only have to pay when they have a sale, right, when they sell them. So it kind of worked out, right, because it's a licensing fee. So they have to keep track of how many that they, create, and they go back and they pay Stanford. But Stanford got a licensing fee because they own the patents. Now, of course, that whole FM thing is expired. And, anyone can make an FM synth now. I love the TH2V2 demo. Any idea when it'll be released to us? I don't know. They just said in a few weeks, but that was a few weeks ago. So whenever they get around to it, you want them to wait, because if they rush it out and there's problems, you're going to be just as angry as if they just wait until they get it right. You still have a Bulgara that didn't blow up on you. Look at you. Puppy monkey baby, what are you talking about? What's up, Krellbar? What's that guitar right next to you? This is a, that's my, let's see if I can, try not to whack. It's a, my Evola. That's a roasted maple neck and it's a mahogany body. That's a real nice guitar. Love this guitar. But I don't want to whack this guitar with it. It's like that. Yeah, exactly. Analog means there's no ones and zeros. No discrete packets. It's just voltage. And voltage runs in continuously. It's just how many volts. Sounds better than the Sterling last week. Well, this is also about 4 times the money as that Sterling. It looks heavy, but this actually is weight relieved, so it's not too bad. It's just the angle, holding it out and being very careful not to hit this guitar, hit the, any of this. It's just, it's ripe for a problem. So my son is out working. He's in the ambulance doing the EMT transport stuff, and it's snowing out there pretty bad. And then my daughter went out for Valentine's Day a day late with her boy. They were both busy yesterday, so they're doing it tonight out at the Cheesecake Factory. And I wish they'd just get home because it's getting pretty snowy out there. It's I'm starting to get worried. I'm getting into cheap guitars lately. Some great stuff. Leo James, sure. Oh, sure. Oh, you want to like the Sterling? I like the Sterling. Oh no, my kids are, they're adult and hard out there. I gotta say, my son was really smart to go get that EMT thing, because getting his state license for EMT, because he earns so much more than any of his friends in their jobs, And he earns, I think, in like one day, in their long days, he starts at, I think he has to be there at 7 a.m., so he's got to leave here at like 6:30. So from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m., so what's 7 to 11, 16 hours? So he's got to do that, and he earns more in that one day. He only works one day a week, Saturday. He earns more in that one day than he used to earn in like just about a month stacking fruit at the Big Y, which paid minimum wage. How old are the kids now? My daughter is 21 and my son is 19. Gonna turn 20 in the spring. Yeah, it doesn't matter how old they get, you still worry about them. It's true. It's true. You know, I'm always looking at the driveway. Where the hell are they? Well, my wife and I always think back to my birthday at the Cheesecake Factory. So we have my daughter is had been born, I guess, just yeah. So it must have been March of 2002. So she was born in 2001. Now it's March of 2002, and we want to go out to. No, I'm sorry. She was born in 2003, and it's probably March of 2004. And we want to go out to the Cheesecake Factory. And so we go out there, have a lovely meal. Place is empty. Service is fast. It's really good. And we get out, and it's really coming down, but more than coming down, the temperature was dropping like rapidly. And I do mean rapidly. So we get back to my house, and like an idiot, I turned the car off, and we went in. I should have never done that. I should have left the car on with the defrost just like blasting on the windshield to keep it as hot as possible. Instead, when we got out, it had turned so cold, the windshield was already starting to freeze up, even though we had just got out of the car and just went in to get her. As we're driving back, the windshield starts freezing up. The outside temperature is turning so cold, you can't see out the window. It's freezing up so bad. And I'm like, this is like dangerous. And I can see cars pulling over and trying to scrape their windows off, their windshields off. They can't see. And I'm on like, and I'm not talking like pulling over on some little street. I'm on like Route 1, like in the middle of the highway. People like just pulling over, going like, I can't do this. I got to pull over. I got to scrape this window off. And I had this little area to see, and it was just a white knuckle ride home. I think the temperature had, when the snow came in, the temperature was like, 30, 32 degrees. It was now like 4 or 5 degrees Fahrenheit, right? That's pretty damn cold. That's like flash freezing. Well, I've been there in the Northeast. Yeah, we had one time, I think it was my birthday. I want to say it was 96, if I remember correctly, but it would have been March of 96. And it was kind of a snowstorm, but it wasn't so cold. And we went to, I want to say it was like Jimmy's on the Mall, at the Burlington Mall. We were living in Woburn. And the place was pretty empty. Might have been 20% full. There's usually a wait, like right in, like nothing. And they were doing a king cut prime rib, And my wife was like, my girlfriend at the time, she was like, oh, you got to get that prime rib, huh? It was on the specials. I'm like, I think it's calling my name. I'm going to get it. So I get the king cut prime rib. Well, the chef realized they weren't going to do much business that night. That thing came out like a goddamn Flintstones friggin' Bronto burger. You never, king cut. Holy shit. This thing was so massive. I was like, nice. The thing was huge. Brought half of it home. That thing was like just unbelievable. I was like, they could barely fit it on the plate. It was massive. And I swear it was just because the place was empty and the chef was like, we're just throwing it out if we don't get rid of it, you know. Even when it came out, my wife was like, oh my God. Like, it was like, am I getting pranked right now? It's like, look at the size of this thing. I got a steak the size of a toilet seat. God, I've been loving my new phone. You know, I got the new Galaxy S25, and man, I didn't get I had the 24 last year, but the screen was crappy. It had a defective screen. I sent it back and never got a new one. I was worried that it was not something that could be fixed, so I just returned it. This screen is amazing, like my 23. But the cameras, oh my God, the camera tech is so good now. What a friggin' difference 2 years makes. It's so amazing. And then the great thing is I only paid $650 for the phone. And I was able to sell my my old phone. I had it up for $650, but no one was biting. And then last Monday, I dropped the price to $599, and boom, it sold overnight. Gone. So after fees, I got like $550. So, not a bad upgrade to a new phone for about $100. Exactly. Somebody's got to eat it. I swear to God, they were like, well, you're just going to throw this out. Just, Exactly. After eating the prime rib, slept on the couch for 3 days. You know what? I am going to have that third steak. S25 better. Well, the S25, I have the S25 Ultra, so it has like better cams. It's got more cam tech on it than the S25. But yeah, I had the S23, and I tried to get the S24 Ultra last year, and it was a no-go. The screen had a green cast. I mean, I was looking at the screen. I'm like, you can't even be serious. They've never had a problem, but they had a bad run. They absolutely had a bad run. This is amazing. It looks like my S23, and then some. It looks, fantastic. So whatever the problem was, they got it sorted out. And just going around and shooting, a little bit of footage here and there with it, footage that I had already shot with other cams. Just looking at it, my God, it looks stellar. And they have a new thing where it used to be that if you shot it in HDR, you didn't get an HDR video. They would make it SDR. All right. It would shoot at HDR, but then they would mix it down to SDR before you got it. Now you can do either one. You can say, no, actually just leave it HDR. I want to work in HDR. And they will just leave it HDR, and you can upload it as HDR to YouTube if you want. And they also shoot, which my other camera couldn't do, you can shoot, I think it's log 10. So you can shoot, with the, ultra high, wide, sort of bandwidth on the, right? It's a very flat and muted look, but then you apply a LUT, and it will look stunning. It starts to look pro. So, again, a few more pro features from my old one. And, I'm sort of in the video business. So it's I use my phone a lot for B-roll. Because the main cams are up on tripods. I never take those off the tripods. They just stay there all the time. So if I have to shoot B-roll, I shoot it all with my phone. And I shoot it at 60 frames a second, so I have some frames to work with if I want to slow it down a little bit. slow it down 20% or even 50%. And then in Adobe, I can tell it, use all those extra frames. Don't jump frames, and it looks extremely smooth. Right? Normally, if you slow it down, it actually looks choppy because they just cut frames out. You say, no, 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 don't cut frames out. I want you to use all the extra frames that are in it. And they're like, oh, okay, we can do that. And then it looks like super smooth. There's already a fight. Yeah, I have unlimited calls and text, but I don't have unlimited data, and I pay like $26 a month. But my data, I pay as I go, and I'm on Wi-Fi all the time. I think I pay a penny a meg, so a gigabyte costs $10. So if I blew through a gigabyte of data, it would cost, $36 a month. Off the 2 fights already, huh? It's about time Apple and Samsung start putting 1-inch sensors in their phone. Yeah, you know what? What's killing it is I think there has to be so much depth. They can't get the sensor that far away from the lens. That's why they're popping the lenses out. Right? There has to be some distance between them. So like my telephoto lens in this is actually on a periscope. And of course you could never fit a 1-inch lens on its side. Right? It's got to be the same orientation as the phone. Now you have a depth problem without getting barrel distortion. There's a lot of obstacles to overcome. It's not easy. 3 fights now. Oh my God. Right. Fist fight. Fist fight. Fist fight in the parking lot. Have a good one, Edwin. So for a Strat neck and you want it to be a bit chunky, what you go for? The one that I know is chunky, like just right off the top of my head, the 65 reissue. 65 reissue has either a medium or a large C. You'll feel that right away. It's not going to feel like this. This is a much thinner neck. You want a chunkier neck. The 65 reissue is absolutely a chunkier neck. In theory, the Eric Johnson should be chunkier, but it does not feel it because it's a V-neck. And the sides slope away so quickly, it actually feels small. Even though being relatively thick from front to back, it's because the sides are sloped away so dramatically. So it actually does. It feels very small in the hand. It's not a particularly chunky neck. They say the U-shaped neck is a larger neck. It just depends. They said it was a U-shaped neck on one of my guitars, and I didn't think it was thick at all. I thought it was. I said, are you sure? This almost feels like a small C or a medium C. This feels pretty small. Modern C. But if you really want to go thick, go 65 reissue. It'll have the transitional logo up there. It'll be all lacquer. You know, it is a vintage model. You could switch out the pickups if you wanted, something that had, hum canceling or whatever, because they're not going to be hum canceling. It's going to be a vintage model. But Gorgeous. I want to say they did a Dakota Red. I think they did an Inca Silver. A white, maybe? Maybe a Sunburst? I don't think they make it any longer. Fender 65 reissue. Strat. Yeah, definitely a white. Yeah. There's the Dakota Red. There's that Inca Silver. All right. 65. All right, American Vintage. There's this. All right. There's the silver. 3-color Sunburst. There's Andy playing the Dakota Red. Oh yeah. That's nice. That's a Stratoburst. Wow. I had no idea they were doing a Stratoburst. That was the 2-color fade that Fender did for a very short period of time. Wow, the Stratoburst. That's shocking, actually. Anyone else? That's a triple. There's that transitional logo. No, actually, that's not the transitional logo. What the hell is that logo? There it is. That's the transitional logo. This one has binding though. That's made in Japan. The Japanese one have the binding on the side. That neck is much smaller if you go with the Japanese one. They're not the same guitar. Japanese reissue, smaller neck. American reissue, much bigger neck. You want something like that. The American Vintage. Oh yeah, there's another one. They did it in pink. American Vintage 2, there it is. Candy Apple Red, 65 Strat. That's a good guitar. It is a chunky neck, though. Get ready for the chonk. Yeah, it does have the chonk. Anyway. EG Ace is nice and not chunky. Yeah, I had one. If you measure it from front to back, it is actually a pretty thick neck. It's just that they slope the sides away so quickly. You're like, oh, this is very comfortable. Right? The only part that's thick is really just the V at the very, very back of it. And so because there's less wood on the slope, right? So instead of being like this, it's like this, right? There's so much less wood on the slope that you're like, oh my God, this feels like so much smaller. But if you took a caliper and put it between the front and the back, it would be much thicker than, say, this neck here. Much thicker. Probably 2 millimeters thicker. Looked up American Vintage and your picture came up. That actually does happen to me sometimes. I look up something and I see a picture of me from a YouTube video showing up in the Google feed. I'm like, oh, damn. It's strange we're still soldering pickups in this day and age. Well, the problem is no one wants to agree on the connector system. I know what you're saying, but it could, if Gibson, they've gone modular, on a lot of their guitars. Certainly, who else? EMG, they went completely modular. With the 3, pretty much like almost like a fan connector that you see in a, in a computer. There's a few companies out there that have gone modular, but no, still doing the soldering. But how often do you really work on them? How often do you really do changes? I think they're just playing the percentages. That's called playing the percentages. Man, I'm not crazy about Strats, but this particular one in yellow is giving me gas. Yeah. Oh, it happens. So is it the Ultra in the... Is it... I'm trying to think of the name of it. They don't call it yellow. Do they call it yellow? I think they call it golden. They call it gold? I'm trying to think. If I go Strat Ultra. I have it in here. This is called Sinister Red. You know, it looks more green in this photo. Doesn't it? They're calling that solar flare. It's looking greenish to me. I might have to go to the Fender website and see if they... That looks green. What happens if I go to Fender other than a shit ton of pop-ups asking me about cookies? Okay, bro? Have you signed up for our mailing list yet, bro? American Ultra 2 HSS. All right. I'll go back here. Ultra 2. Yeah, it's the solar flare. I'd say that looks more greenish gold, no? Kind of. Right? It looks like a green-hued gold. In fact, you know what it looks like? It looks like a 79 Fender anniversary model that was silver and just turned gold over time. All right. What do they got? Okay, sunburst. That one, this is the other one I would have liked to have gotten here. I went with this one, but this was definitely on the list, you know, with the ebony fretboard, you know. But I wound up going with this one, but that was the other one I was looking at. I was like, oh, that looks good. That looks damn good. Nice looking Strat you got there, kid. Real nice. And I like the pearl inlays, you know. Yeah, Gatorade. Oh my God, that's great. That's a great call. Gatorade. Yeah. Oh God, my coffee's out. Yeah, kind of reminds you of a Camaro color. Yeah, yeah. It's nice. Oh, man. Real nice. Oh, where the hell are these kids? Worried dad over here. I think, let me look. I thought I got an email recently from Gibson saying they had some new stuff, new arrivals. Let's check out the new arrivals. Yeah. So new custom figured commemorative show. Some transparent. They've got a few new things. Studio figure top with a dark purple burst. I feel like I remember these. Right, we definitely looked at these. All right, so what's that? That's a... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Like a root beer. Kind of nice. And ebony. A little online. So this is sold out too. With the 55 NAMM. Are they all sold out? I think they are. Or you have to call the Gibson Garage if you want to order one. That, oh yeah. Oh, I see. It's aged. Just realizing that. It's got age lines. It's like its old man. It's like the player. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Watermelon. Nice bright color. You certainly will be seen on stage. That's for sure. And what are the other ones? Spearmint. Oh yeah, kind of a dark green. It feels more like a hunter green than spearmint. Ocean blue. I bet it feels a little faded, almost like a faded dungaree, like a sky blue. And then they have a Gibson exclusive copper top. Oh, interesting. Gold top. The old gold top, right? Is it copper or gold? Gold. Interesting. Very interesting. What else? Oh, shit. I gotta go through all these again. Come on, you son of a... There we go. And then, the Moonburst. Not bad, if you like the flame. I think there's some ES players that they're not crazy about the flame. They like a more of a plain top. They like the OGs. But, you know, trying to make it for everyone. Yeah. And then lastly, the Gibson exclusive. Is that a blueberry burst? What are they calling it? Ocean water perimeter. Okay. I want to be in the color naming meetings. Sounds like a lot of fun. Ocean water perimeter. Nice. What is the price compared to a regular ES335? Well, these are $4,000, but I don't know what a regular ES335 goes for. So yeah, these are all $39.99. But if I went to, say, electric and then ES, $34.99, $42.99, $34.99 for a regular 335, $38.99, $34.99, mostly $34.99, right? $39.99, $34.99, $3,500, $4,000, $3,800 for the Supreme 42. Just the regular 339, $29.99, $29.99. That's 10 G's. It's 6,500. You can get the heavy sparkle flake gloss for only 8,100. Custom select, bro. Don't get cheap on me, bro. We got $6,000, $6,000, 6,500. Only gonna get more expensive as you go down the page. I do enjoy naming finishes. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I want to be in those meetings. You know? What are we going to call it? Ocean blue? Close. Close. I'm feeling ocean blue, but it has this fade at the edge. Ocean blue edge. No, that's not it. Ocean, right? So there's the ocean blue, and then I think the other one had the darker, right? Had the darker strip around the edge, right? And that was ocean blue perimeter. I think it was this one. Yeah. Ocean water. Nice. See, because it has a perimeter. It's not random. Feels like a fun job. Call it dolphin tears. You know. Because what was the name of this one? It's something red. Something red. We were just looking at it. It can't be just. It's not, candy apple red or just, regular red. It's gotta be fancy red. Can't be just regular. They were calling it. Boy, they're making me work. Sinister red. I want to be in these meetings. Sinister red. Damn. Sure. Sure. Why not? We're calling it evil red. Close, but I'm not quite feeling it. Not evil red. Sounds too much like Evil Dead. What about, bad red? No, that doesn't work. It's too simple. Not evil, not bad. Can't use blood. That would be too off-putting. Sinister red? You could just see the slow clap. Where the hell are those bagels? Have a good one, Zen Arcade. We're out of here in about 10 minutes. Red carpet red. How about just candy apple red? Kind of just looks like candy apple red. They're like, it's too expensive. That MSRP, we can't be doing candy apple red. You can get that on a Maxi Strat. No. We need a special custom just for this, guitar. Sinister red. Exactly, marketing jargon red. Grateful red. Now someone's thinking about it. You might get in trouble with the band, so you got to be careful. They probably have a trademark on that. Yeah. You have to call it like. Look at that thing. What's crazy is how quickly the pickguard is getting a hot spot. That's pretty fast considering this guitar is, pretty new. This is an open box, return. I think this was a blem or something, but maybe the blem is the hot spot the guy started to develop and was like, oh, hell no. So I just go gloss. It's aluminum, and it's nice. I mean, it is nice with, it feels very premium, but it very quickly developed a hot spot. Freddie Mercury, now you're talking. And they'll be like, you're ripping off Freddie Mercury. And you'll be like, no, we're talking about the red Mercury planet. Sure. Everyone knows the red planet is Mercury, right? No? What? No? Bottom line is they're worth $2.2K. I think so. They fill it up with the appointments, and if you want a USA made Strat, you can pay a little bit less for the American Pro, but if you want all the ultra features, accoutrements, then you have to get the Ultra too. But it feels very premium from head to toe. That's for sure. Fenders on crack with their pricing. Actually, if you work out what they used to cost back in the day to now, they're almost 1-to-1 with inflation. In fact, they were a little under inflation for a while. Without a doubt. And wait till they start figuring the cost of friggin' eggs now, which is just friggin' insane. Eggs are just, what did they say? They were up something like 50% in a year, and like just 15% in just like a week. And that's even if you can get them. A lot of places just don't even have them. But as I like to say, purchasing is optional. No one's forcing you to buy anything. They've always been overpriced? No way. I don't believe that at all. Not Fender. No way. Fender's always been one of the, quite frankly, a little bit more musician friendly than a lot of brands out there. Especially if you can tolerate a made in Japan guitar, then even more bang for the buck. And certainly the same with if you can tolerate a guitar made in North America, just not in the United States, made in Mexico, then you can really save some money. But if you want an American-made guitar and you want a Strat Ultra, that's the price. An American Standard in 1984 was $400. You are absolutely wrong. Absolutely not, dude. I was around in 1980. I was 18 in 1984, and I had already been playing guitar for 12 years. So, no, when we went to go buy my Strat, and you couldn't get a Strat under $500. It was $549 for, and this is in 1981. It was $549 for the Standard, and I want to say $649 for the Strat, for like the Strat, which was their top model. They carried an MSRP of over $1,000. So there's no way they were $399. Not even, no. RG550 MIJ, $1,000. Yeah, that's a great price, actually. That's one of the lower prices for, other than Vola, it's one of the lowest prices you'll see out there for MIJ. The only one who has them beat is really Vola, you know, in terms of just sheer pricing. The Mexican was $300. Not when they came out. We were a dealer. I remember when the Mexican Strats came out. Maybe if they have a Squire branding on them, sure. But I remember them being more money. You know, they were like $450, $499. I remember when we got our first SRV. I want to say it was $899, something like that. $999, $899. They're up there. In 93, could have been. You know, the early 90s were really tough. There was a huge recession going on. So, right, in 90, 91, right, the go-go 80s were sort of over. And, yeah. $300 for a hang tag about a year ago? Yeah, $399 brand new Mexi Strat. You're talking about a used Strat, right? Some old 90s banger. Have a good one, speaker. Yeah, it's time to wrap it up. Guitar Center. Yeah, used guitar. Yeah, you can find them. They're out there. I bought a Mexi Strat for a couple of them for like $299, but that was years ago. And, you know, you got to check and see if the truss rod isn't stripped out. A lot of times they have a lot of hidden damage. You got to be careful. You know. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. It is after 9 o'clock. It is time to call it a night. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. Super extra special thanks. Anyone who contributed, always appreciate that. And, of course, brofist to my Mod Squad. Hashtag brofist. Hashtag Mod Squad. And I will see you guys all in a week. And check out Monday's vid. I got a hot new guitar. This guitar is so hot right now. And I have one here to check out. So you can see that on Monday. Again, I think that guitar is $599, $549. Pretty reasonable. And there you have it. All right, dudes. Have a great week. Check out that vid on Monday. And I'll see you all in a week. And there you have it. All right. Later.